Welcome to our podcast on redundancy. Our podcast is aimed at providing you with 4 key points about a particular subject area to help you understand and make your way through the minefield that is employment law these days. So my subject today is redundancy, and the 4 things I want to tell you about redundancy are what it is, the key issue that people have to get right in relation to redundancy, what happens or what the scenario is where collective issues apply, and also just general comments about the way in which redundancy is put into place these days. So they are my 4 points. I was starting off with what it is. Well, a redundancy takes place when there is a reduction in the need for employees to carry out work of a particular kind, or alternatively, when there's closure of a workplace in a particular location. Now, the closure of the workplace is a fairly simple one to get your head around. The more difficult one is where there's a reduction in the need for employees to carry out work of a particular kind. And you may think I'm saying that slightly like a parrot, and that's actually intentional, because that is a very, very specific definition that you have to actually make sure the actual arrangements fits into. Now, with a reduced need, the whole issue of selection comes up. Sometimes it's fairly simple because it's very obvious that people no longer need typists. Maybe they don't any longer need data entry staff or whatever. But where it gets more difficult is when you're reducing down a pool of people. Okay, the second point that I want to make is that relating to the process. Every single redundancy will need to have a fair process associated with it. It generally involves looking for alternative work and consulting. The third point that you really should always be aware of is the issue of collective redundancies. Now, an alarm bell should go off if more than 20 people are affected by a redundancy or likely to be made redundant. Different rules apply where more than 20 people are going to be made redundant, and they become quite detailed and extensive. So if that applies, you really should take legal advice and make sure you understand what the scenario is. Now, classically, additional awards can also apply if there is a failure to follow those other procedures relating to collective redundancies. And then finally, just a general point to note in this day and age is that the number of redundancies happening nowadays is literally unprecedented, and we are seeing huge numbers of people coming to us for advice. If you find that yourself in this position, then do feel free to contact us to get further information. We're always happy to help you understand whether your rights have been breached and whether there's anything you can do about it. And from the employer's point of view, we often implement or help employers implement redundancies fairly so that they know that there can be no comeback or unfair dismissal complaints arising from it.